Okay, so after everything that went down this past Monday Night Raw and especially SmackDown, the match card for Bad Blood is looking sick. So let's take a look at all the confirmed and potential matches for the card and predict who's gonna win. I'm Brandon and this is Wrestling Talk. Starting off with the match that will probably open the show, and that is CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre in a Hell in a Cell. And while I think for the most part this has been one of the most entertaining feuds in WWE this year, I definitely think it's run its course, and this should be the ending of the entire thing. Because really, there's nowhere else for them to go. I do think the fans are kind of getting bored of it, and we just want to see both guys go off to do something else. It's very clear that after this, Punk is going to go after Gunther in the World Heavyweight title, and Drew is going to keep being a heel. But when it comes down to who's winning, to me it's very simple. Punk needs to win this match and the feud as a whole, because one, he's kind of been the babyface in this whole thing, and two, you need him looking strong before his big title match against Gunther. Could Drew win? Yes, but given how he's been the heel of this whole thing and he really doesn't need the win, I think this is a pretty predictable match. It's going to be CM Punk for the win. I love that it's in a Hell in a Cell though. This is the perfect match for it. The next match is another rematch, and that is Liv Morgan versus Rhea Ripley for the Women's World title. And to me, this is also very simple. I don't think Liv is losing this. Not now, and in my opinion, not until WrestleMania. Unlike the Drew McIntyre CM Punk feud, I still think there's a lot of gas in the tank left for Rhea versus Liv. And when it comes to the women's division as a whole, they don't really have a whole lot of long-term storylines, and I think Triple H is looking at this feud as this year's long-term storyline for the women's division. However, in order to protect Rhea Ripley because she needs to remain looking strong, I think it might be one of those wonky DQ finishes where Liv tries to cheat to win. Rhea catches this and tries to give Liv a taste of her own medicine, but the ref catches it and then she gets disqualified. Very similar to Kevin Owens versus Logan Paul at the Royal Rumble. And once this happens, I think the Liv versus Rhea feud will probably go on a bit of a break, where Rhea will demand another rematch and Liv will deny it. And that's how we can milk this feud all the way till WrestleMania. Because between Bad Blood and the Rumble, Liv can have a bunch of title matches against other people on Raw, and the way I see this playing out is Rhea will try to win the Rumble but fail, and then she will win her first ever Elimination Chamber to earn her third match against Liv at WrestleMania. I just don't think it's the right time to take the title off of Liv, but that's just me. The next confirmed match is another Judgment Day feud, and that is Damian Priest versus Finn Balor. And to me, this is going to be the start of a trilogy of matches between these two. So from that perspective, it doesn't really matter who wins this first one. I think in order to keep Damian looking strong after losing the title at SummerSlam, he might be the one that has to win this match. And I actually think that will make for a more compelling feud overall, because if Finn wins, it's just going to be very similar to Liv beating Rhea, where he'll probably cheat to win, and then Damian will demand a rematch. It just creates a very by-the-numbers feud. However, if Damian wins this first match, proving that Finn is still his sidekick, then you can have Finn going after Damian for a rematch, so he can prove that he is indeed not his sidekick. To me, it's just a little more compelling. Plus, if I already have Rhea losing her title match, I think the Terror Twins team needs to have some type of a victory coming out of Bad Blood. So Damian for the win. And at the time of this recording, the last confirmed match is Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes versus Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu. This will undoubtedly be the main event of the show. It's basically a modern day Mega Powers. It's giving vibes of Stone Cold teaming with The Rock. And to be honest, I'm all for it. I'm just along for the ride. I want to see how this plays out. I originally thought it was going to be Roman versus Solo at Bad Blood, but it's very clear that WWE is holding off on all those big money matches for Roman. So in the meantime, why not take your two biggest stars in the company and put them together? I think it's going to be a blast, but also I think the Bloodline has to win, and Roman Reigns has to take the pin. Why? Because it doesn't really make sense for Cody to take the pin. He's not really involved in this Bloodline civil war. I mean, let's be honest, the only reason he's been thrown into here is because any other match he would have at Bad Blood would obviously be overshadowed by whatever Roman Reigns does. But if you really want to give this Bloodline civil war feud some legs, you need to make the new Bloodline look strong. And what better way is there to do that than by having Jacob Fatu or Solo Sikoa pin Roman Reigns. Also, if you want to keep Roman and Cody looking strong, have one of the reasons they lose simply be miscommunication because they're not used to being a team. They don't trust each other. They don't like each other. They're always trying to one-up each other. To me, that's also very compelling as we lead into War Games. Will Roman be able to form a team that he can work with? Will Cody even be on that team? So yeah, I can't wait for this match, but to me, the winner is obvious. It's going to be the new Bloodline. The last match that has been confirmed is a title defense for Nia Jax. Next week on SmackDown, Bayley and Naomi are going to face Nia and Tiffany in a tag match with some very convoluted rules, where if Bayley and Naomi lose, then whoever takes the pin has to go away from SmackDown forever, but if they win, whoever pins the person that loses gets a title shot at Nia. It's a bit confusing, but to me, Bayley is going to pin Tiffany, and your match at Bad Blood will be a rematch between Bayley and Nia Jax, mainly because Naomi versus Nia Jax doesn't really get me excited. However, I really enjoyed Bayley versus Nia Jax at SummerSlam, so a rematch, I'm all for it. Although, there's no way Bayley's winning. And I actually see Nia beating her clean, mainly because you want Nia looking strong before she inevitably faces a returning Charlotte Flair. Whether it's on an episode of SmackDown, Bad Blood, or Crown Jewel, I think Charlotte Flair will return at some point before the end of the year. If I had to guess, I think right after Nia beats Bayley at Bad Blood, that's when Charlotte will return. And then Charlotte versus Nia can happen at Crown Jewel. And who knows, Charlotte versus Nia might be the perfect opportunity for Tiffany to cash in, potentially screwing Charlotte out of the win, which will inevitably set up that match. So with those 5 matches, I actually think those will be the only matches on the card, just because WWE seems to be getting into that gimmick of 5 match cards for the smaller shows, and then 7 for the bigger shows like WrestleMania or SummerSlam. However, if they are going to add more matches to the card, I see 3 potential options. First off is Gunther versus Sami Zayn. To me, this is a locked match that will happen. I initially thought it was going to happen at Crown Jewel. However, given how the feud's been building, it seems like WWE is just going to pull the trigger at Bad Blood, which I'm all for because as awesome of a match as this is going to be, there's no doubt in my mind that Gunther is going to win. And I think it's going to be decisively, because I think with Gunther's first few title defenses, WWE is trying to make him look like a new and improved Gunther who doesn't make the same mistakes like he did prior. At King and Queen of the Ring, he beat Randy Orton, but it wasn't decisive. So at Bash in Berlin, boom, decisive victory over Randy. The only person on the main roster to pin Gunther is Sami Zayn, who pinned him for the IC title at WrestleMania. So what is WWE gonna do? Boom, decisive victory over Sami Zayn. So if this match happens, I think it'll be awesome, but Gunther for the win. Next up will be Braun Breaker versus Jey Uso for the IC title. I think this match will very well happen on an episode of Raw before Bad Blood, but if it doesn't, I think it'll be a perfect mid-card addition to the show, with Braun absolutely winning. Because even though they haven't been teasing it as of late, I still think Jey Uso is going to get involved in the Bloodline Civil War story. And maybe having this match on Bad Blood, the same night as Roman and Cody versus Jacob and Solo, opens the door to get Jey involved. But yeah, Braun for the win. I don't see them giving Jey the IC title. At least not yet. And the last match that will probably be added to Bad Blood is a triple threat for the US title, LA Knight versus Andrade versus Carmelo Hayes. Next week on SmackDown, it's going to be LA Knight versus Andrade. To me, it's very obvious that Carmelo will interfere, thus setting up a triple threat that I think will likely happen just on an episode of SmackDown. But again, if they're trying to really build out this Bad Blood card, why not throw it on there? And to me, this can be an insane match with, again, a very predictable winner. LA Knight has to hold on to this title for a while because really there's nothing else for him to do on SmackDown. The main event scene is booked. So overall, Bad Blood is looking like a really good card. Let me know what you think of the match card down below as well as your predictions, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.